Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So I was just at my grandmother's funeral, and something really unsettling happened. Out of all of our cousins there, I have six cousins, and I have a younger brother, obviously. Uh, Six of them, five of them were married, and two of them were in committed relationships. I was the only one single there, and it was just really embarrassing more than anything else. And so I want you guys to pray as hard as you can. Pray to the God of dislikes that the next time I come to Taiwan for a funeral, that it will be two of us traveling to Taiwan. And I'm very hopeful for that, actually. I got one grandmother left. She is 95 years old. But also pray that we'll never have to go to her funeral because eventually humans will live forever, right? So there's a slim chance of that too. There's probably a much better chance that I'll bring somebody to the funeral. Either one of them is acceptable to me. Pray as hard as you can for that. Now, at my grandmother's funeral, that I just went to, I asked my grandmother to go talk to Marie Curie to see if Marie Curie could set me up on a blind date with one of her great 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 grandchildren. And so far, I think my prayers are starting to be answered. I was just talking to a friend of Alicia Janazzi, the first place winner of Polish Idol Season 1, and the conversation went somewhere. So hopefully my grandmother is talking to Marie Curie right now. If you count the time that my grandmother was being conceived, she and Marie Curie actually did coexist here on Earth for 6 months, so maybe they have some connection. I gave my when I went to see her casket, I placed a small chunk of bismuth in there for her to take to Marie Curie. Marie Curie's polonium-210 is now made from bismuth, although it wasn't the way she discovered it. But I placed it in my grandmother's casket, and it was cremated with my grandmother, and her ashes were placed in an urn. So presumably inside the urn, there's probably a nice, beautiful crystal of bismuth. I'm not sure how the crystals will look if you just randomly cremate bismuth, right? It could also have been mixed in with other metals that were in the casket. I don't know if she brought any other jewelry in there. So I was hoping to see it, but I didn't get to see the ashes. But hopefully there's a nice, beautiful crystal in there. And I also asked my grandmother to talk to Marie Curie to help me come up with an idea. See, I discovered yet another way to find polonium-210. When radon in our atmosphere decays, it makes, well, actually more like lead-210, but the lead-210 is positively charged and sticks to dust particles in the air, and I was able to detect that with my Geiger counter, and I figured out a way to kind of concentrate it a little bit. And when I go home, I'm going to work on patenting that process to get polonium-210 out of our atmosphere. I hope to build a device that will automate that whole thing, because it was pretty scary when I saw the Geiger counter go SOS, SOS, and then I vomited. I'm not sure if I got any sort of radiation poisoning or I was just scared to death about the whole concept. But I made a small amount of a radioactive sludge, and the Geiger counter went beep, 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 and it said SOS across the whole thing. Actually, part of the reason the concept of radon in homes was discovered was, I think it was a Canadian family. The father had worked in this nuclear lab, and they were setting up these alarms just in case nuclear material went out of control. And one day he walked into work, and the alarm started going off like crazy, even though they hadn't even brought in any radioactive material. And it was discovered that his home had so much radon in it that his clothes picked up so much polonium that when he went to work, it set off the alarms. And that's why we know about radon in the air. Most people don't have that much radon in their homes, but it's enough that you can get it. If you clean out your vacuum cleaner, you can detect it. And I hope to patent a process for extracting polonium-210. I hope that's where I make my mark. And you can pray for that by leaving a dislike on this video. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.